Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of What's Your Next? And we are going to be covering today item number 12 of the FDD, the Franchise Disclosure Document, what that's about, why it's important. If you watch some of our previous episodes recently, we've done the previous ones 1 to 11, so please go back and check those ones out and learn what a lot of those have built up to some of these later items that we're getting into now. And item number 12 is really important for those types of franchises where there is a built-in territory, meaning there's a geographic area attached to what you're acquiring and where you are able to do business with your franchise.
Welcome to What's Your Next? This is the go-to podcast for aspiring business owners who want to get to the next level, escape the rat race, and give their middle finger to the corporate 9-to-5. If you want financial freedom, work-life balance, and the business of your dreams, you're in the right place. Dave and Stacy Riska, husband-wife franchising duo, openly share their successes, failures, and lessons learned in franchising, business ownership, and working with your spouse.
And this is really broken down into a few sections in this particular item. Section number 1 is the description of the territory. Section number 2 is competition. And section number 3 is territory protection, we'll call it that, and what happens if and how can you or can you at all do business outside of your territory. So with that, Stacy, why don't you give a little bit of feedback about maybe our franchise and the fact that we really don't have a territory assigned to ours and what that means.
Well, and there are many franchises that don't have territories, or there are some that they're national in scope. Let's say that you're doing business to business. And so therefore you could work in businesses all over the country. So there are no territory restrictions, but that would be outlined in this item. So what you want to understand is, how is your territory defined? Is it by radius? Is it by zip code? It really needs to be delineated and described. For example, we work with a franchise that will outline how many households, what income qualifications are considered part of that territory. And it's so important to know this, because that's how they're going to zone out, ensuring that no other franchisees who may invest in the franchise are stampeding or coming into your territory.
All right, so the next area of this item is competition. And this is an interesting one also, in that it doesn't really define what your true competition, what you can do as far as your competition with your true competition, which is other businesses that do the same thing you do. This really has to do with competition within your territory and what you can and you can't do. Is that correct?
Well, there's two parts to it. So once your territory is defined, then the second part that Dave's alluding to is it exclusive or non-exclusive? Meaning, can anybody else come in? And that could be another franchisee, and or it could actually be the franchisor. So the franchisor may have language in there that they have the right to come in and place a territory. A weird example of this may be, let's say you're in a business that is more, or it could be something like ours, food and beverage, right? And so a lot of those concepts tend to be more typical, brick and mortar. And the franchisor may have an opportunity to come in and be in a non-traditional place like an airport or a hotel or a military base. And if you don't take that opportunity, even if it's in your territory, then there's probably language in this item saying that the franchisor and or another franchisee can come in and open up in that location, even though it's part of your territory.
Right. So this is really the next one that was listed, which is territory protection. Mm-hmm. So really, competition and protection kind of overlap each other a lot as far as the meaning of that and what it is how it's described in the FDD. The last one is territory expansion, and this one is the territory that you're acquiring, can it ever be expanded? Can it grow for you? Is it, if they have no other franchisee that comes in near you, can it be include other zip codes or another area or something like that? So Stacey, is there anything you want to add on this one?
I just think the whole idea of territory is really important, because just the few examples we've gone through, you can see where these situations could arise. And so you want to understand what your rights are, what your obligations are, what, if any, processes you need to follow. Think about, like, what if you're growing so fast and you outgrow and you need to relocate? Well, what is the process for doing that? As Dave alluded to, what if you want to add on another territory 1 year in when you're into your current franchise agreement? What is the process to do that? So making sure you understand everything related to territory, you'll feel a lot more comfortable when those situations arise later.
Yeah, again, a very big part of the FDD item 12. You really need to understand what you do and don't have here and what you can and can't do here. So that's it for today's episode, FDD item number 12. Again, if you like the information we're presenting here, you're learning something, like and subscribe. We got more coming. We'll catch you on the next episode of What's Your Next.